Hey guys, I am Nicole Monteith, and the title of the article that I chose for this video presentation discussion was a survey of staff attitudes and practices around the patient involvement in clinical health psychology specialty. The authors of this article were Bethan Horsley, Alyssa Moulton Perkins, and Graham Belchamber. The year of publication for this article was November of 2016. Summarizing the article, basically what this was to do was to figure out how clinicians were assessing their patients and getting feedback from their patients. It was a good survey to do and things like that, just to see where patient assessment was at and how they liked their service or how they liked their clinician or things like that. I chose this article just because I had emailed the instructor two different articles, didn't know if I was on the right path to what I was trying to get at, and I just chose this one because it was just really interesting to me. I felt that it's a really good idea to try and figure out what we are actually doing, if we're doing a good job, if we're not doing a good job, how the patients are feeling after they receive service from any one of us. That's kind of the biggest reasons why. One of the outcomes of this were pretty good. Most clinicians realized that they were embracing some form of patient involvement, but for the majority, it was on the low side. So that was a really good thing that something like this came out. The article seemed valid and reliable. I got it straight off of our Welder library, so that's kind of where I went with that. Only because I was a little bit lost when I was trying to get information for this project. One of the biggest things that it had put in there for the survey was the achievements, and I think that those are the greatest things for an article like this, or to express the reasons why we do articles like this, why we do studies and research like this. One of the biggest achievements that they found is that most clinicians commented that they had they changed their aspect of their services, which is huge because they realized that their services were not as good as they probably should be. They were doing them, but it wasn't great. But they put it a little bit higher on their pedestal on where things were and how they did things, the stuff like that. One of the other things was they changes like information sheets. They changed information sheets on how they assessed or how patients were able to assess the clinician, survey questions, things like that. They also changed how assessments were conducted, which is a huge thing. One of the other things they did, they're reviewing referral routes in how they were referred. Let's say I talk to somebody, I'm getting help from somebody, and then I referred them to the person that I was talking to, just, things like that. That's a huge thing because they, more people are going to go off of that patient involvement with doing that, and your clinician should be able to be more receptive with referrals and things like that. When somebody says, hey, this person's really great to talk to, they could probably tell them they help me with A, B, or C, or something like that. One of the biggest, I included in this some of the barriers and challenges that they found with this. The patient involvement resourcing issues. That was kind of one of the biggest things. The other biggest thing was travel costs for patients. They really, in barriers and challenges, you can't always, pay for your patient to come back to see you. Let's say they moved away or something like that. One of the other challenges they found with this survey was limited secretarial support. So the clinicians figured that they were going to have a lot more workload, things like that. I think there was only like 2% of the people that said that they actually had more workload than what they anticipated. But they still didn't have the secretarial support that they could have used for this survey. Things for the future in this, their plan is they want to start introducing carers involvement. Let's say I'm a carer of somebody else. They want to introduce that to get that carers aspect on how the clinician is doing. Investigating alternative communication techniques. A lot of them were just done out as emails, surveys, things like that. And it wasn't anonymous. It was a big thing. So a couple of the clinicians that it was sent to were a little bit weary about putting things in there because they really didn't want their information to get out there, things like that. Redesign the survey to differentiate more clearly when someone is responding on behalf of their service or as the individual itself. I think that's a huge thing that they're working towards, because I think I would rather be evaluated on both sides of the perspective. I'd like to see them evaluate on the service that I gave them and as an individual myself, so that way if I need to work on something or my service, I can take that with how, constructive criticism, basically. One of the other things is working with patients as co-researchers. I think that would be a great thing to do. Like I said, it's all in the future. It's something that future studies can possibly do with this kind of base research. I learned a lot about this article. I was a little bit skeptical when I first started this because I was reading through it and I was like, I just don't understand it. But the more I got into it, and it was only like 6 pages, the more I got into it, the more interesting it got, and the more the kind of light bulb above the head goes off, the aha moment. Like, hey, this is really important if this is going to be, something that we're doing, even not even as a clinician, like even as a counselor. I would want my patient to be able to come back to me, or fill out a survey, things like that, or maybe a follow-up call, stuff like that, if I'm no longer providing a service for them. That's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I felt that I wanted to share with this article. If you notice right now, I'm not sitting in my own house. I'm actually out in Pennsylvania right now. It is in a military school, so the lighting is really kind of crappy, and I wanted to turn the light off above my head. I wanted to turn the light above my head off because it was really, really bright, but then I realized my glasses are reflecting really bad. But I hope you guys kind of get a little bit out of this. If any of you want me to send you the article, I will gladly do it. Just shoot me an email on here in the inbox, and I can sure do that. Other than that, I don't really have anything else, and I can't wait to read some of your guys' listen to your guys' video presentations and see what you guys all came up with. We'll talk to you later. Bye.